And what we now know beyond a reasonable doubt is that Anthony Fauci did indeed fund gain-of-function research. We have the evidence that the experiments were gaining in function. The viruses were becoming more lethal, more attachable to human cells, and more infectious. We do know that this was going on, that was funded by the NIH, specifically under the tutelage of Anthony Fauci. We know all of that, but we know even more now. We know that the initial estimate by the scientists at the CIA was that this came from the lab. He was able to convince them otherwise. We now have evidence that in January of 2020, that he was already acknowledging that the virus did not come from the wet market, that the wet market was a spreader event, but wasn't an initial event because we had lineages of people way before the wet market that were getting sick.
That is the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, Senator Rand Paul, on files released by the Office of Director of National Intelligence, showing Dr. Anthony Fauci met with the intelligence community to shape public perception that COVID-19 originated from a wet market in Wuhan instead of a lab leak. Now, Senator Paul has subpoenaed Fauci to testify publicly under oath in front of Congress this month over his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, which killed more than 1 million Americans. Fauci received a preemptive pardon from former President Biden just hours before his term ended in January of 25 via AutoPen, whose legality has been called into question. I want to bring in with more Senator Ron Johnson, a key member of the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Senator, good morning to you. You know, Anthony Fauci, look, he's had plenty of time to lawyer up. Let's be clear here. But the American people still want answers. What questions do you want answered if and when he appears in front of you?
Good morning, Cheryl. Well, we now know that he definitely needed that pardon. I think we also know that Anthony Fauci knew he was evading Obama's gain-of-function moratorium. We now know that he was funding this. We now know that the U.S. government, probably under the auspices of Anthony Fauci, were funding something like 120 biolabs all over the world, 40 of them alone in Ukraine. Why were we doing that? We knew he fully was aware of the fact that they were funding dangerous research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Why would we be sharing that kind of dangerous scientific research with the Chinese government? So there's so much that we now know. We certainly suspected it. We're getting more and more documented evidence. So, my questions will be centering on what did you know? When did you know it? It'll be real interesting to see how he responds. He's got a pardon. So he really can't plead the fifth. So he needs to be honest with this. He better not perjure himself. So this will be a really interesting hearing. I credit to Chairman Paul with really pursuing the whole origin investigation. I'm focusing on other parts of really our miserably failed response on COVID and all the cover-up of safety signals. But Cheryl, one of the big stories here is how the legacy media continues to cover all this up. They're not covering this as news. They didn't cover, my report that showed that Peter Marks knew there were safety signals. They didn't cover Tulsi Gabbard's release. I credit Fox News, shows like this. They're actually interviewing folks like us to get this information out there. But the legacy media is just radio silence on all these outrages, all these revelations in terms of what happened in COVID. And we need a COVID reckoning. Yeah. We need to make sure that the American public knew exactly what happened so this never happens again.
No, like I said, a million Americans died. I mean, it's heartbreaking to this day. I want to get back to the president's agenda here with you for just a second, because the president has repeatedly said he wants the filibuster gone. There's a headline in Politico that Senator Leader Thune and House Leader Mike Johnson are about to have a do-nothing summer. But there's many things that the president wants to see happen. In particular, he wants the Save America Act to be passed. And there's been, of course, as you know, a revolt by some House Republicans to stop the business happening in the House because they want to see Save America get through. One thing that Politico writes, I want to ask you about this. They say the lack of widespread GOP support for upending the voting systems, this is Save America, like Arizona, Florida, Alaska, it's an open secret on the Hill. Many Republicans credit mailed ballots with helping them win in tight races. Your reaction to that?
Well, first of all, I was a very early supporter of President Trump's call to end the filibuster. I've written a couple op-eds on it. In my Wall Street Journal op-ed, I concluded by saying, at a minimum, we ought to vote on a rule change in the Senate, which would require a 67-vote threshold. Get senators on the record, both Democrat and Republican. Do you want to end the filibuster or not? Democrats, when they had the chance, all but 2 voted to end the filibuster. So I don't know how much more broken the United States Senate can be. The people in our party, they certainly want to have the filibuster when Democrats have control to stop their radical left destructive legislation. I understand that. But again, the reality is they will, when they have the chance, when they have the House, Senate, and the White House, they will end the filibuster. I say we do it early. We do it before them so we can pass Save America Act. And yeah, there are individual states where mail-in balloting is more important. I get that. I think we can accommodate those Republican senators that have those kinds of concerns. But the only way this passes is by ending the filibuster, and I am fully supportive of doing so. Again, the Senate can't be more broken than it is.
Well, okay, so twofold question here, because, I'm curious, and Maria has mentioned this repeatedly, do you take parts of Save America, you fold it into Reconciliation 3.0? That's question one. Question two, there's a $67 billion emergency funding request for Iran through the Pentagon. Can that get approval by Labor Day?
Possibly. Listen, we have, as you pointed out earlier, we have a very short legislative calendar. From my standpoint, I agree with President Trump. The Save America Act, making sure that only American citizens can vote, is crucial to saving our democracy. So from my standpoint, I think we need to focus on that and be realistic. The only way that passes is by ending the filibuster. The process to end the filibuster is start with a vote to change the rule, get Democrats and Republicans on record voting. A lot of Republicans don't want to be on record. They realize their constituents want them to end it. They again, want to maintain the filibuster. And I understand it's a legitimate reason to have the filibuster when Democrats have control. But you have to be realistic. When Democrats get control, they will end it. So we ought to do it first. So start with a rule change and then move toward just nuking it with 50 votes. That's what I think we ought to do.
All right. Well, we're going to be watching. You're back in session July 13th. Senator Ron Johnson, thank you for being with us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.